At the end of the day, you know, maybe you are so confused you don't do anything. And quite frankly, that's when the worst time comes for most of us, because when that happens, when you're feeling discouraged, when you're feeling stuck, you know, nothing moves. And yet, it could be just one word, it could be one phrase, it could be something that somebody shares with you, and all of a sudden that's called inspiration, not motivation. Something comes in and you say, got it. So today we're going to talk about that in today's show. We're going to welcome your phone calls. You can call in tonight, the number's on the bottom of the screen, and you're welcome to call in and talk to my guests. And we have some insights and information, and we have some phone-in guests as well. So it's going to be quite an action-packed show, and we're going to get on with it. So if you're feeling stuck or discouraged at any time, call us, even if you think we're stuck or discouraged. Joining me today on the show is David Cohen, good friend of mine, also a co-host with you on radio, and good to have you here.
You too.
Thanks for making the show, brother.
Nice to be back.
Yeah, and but you do a lot of consulting. We'll talk about that in a moment. And also Nancy Hunley, who actually great to have you because you specialize in conflict resolution, mediation, and often when problems come in the door and people are feeling discouraged or stuck, they kind of take it out on their family, or maybe that's sometimes the cause of it.
They often do.
Yeah,
they often do take it out on their family, and they hesitate to look inside and also to look outward to the professionals. So
yeah, why is that?
For one thing, the field of mediation is a strange animal because everybody agrees in principle that mediation is a good idea.
Right.
But when they get to coming to the table to talk about issues, maybe they feel that mediators are going to solve their problems.
Right.
But really, mediation is a conflict resolution, and it's a facilitated process where people get together and talk about their issues, which is basically, as you said earlier, Garth, that coming to the table is any table, not just the mediation table.
Well, we talk about that, and David, in the work that you've been doing. By the way, I got to tell you publicly, buddy, you've lost you said 18 pounds.
18 pounds.
You look awesome.
Thanks. You too. You too. Look at the color you got.
Well, I don't work with you on Sundays. I'm phoning my show. But going back to this, talking about it, because, you know, as the host of the Small Business Big Idea show, and the things that now you're consulting in businesses, and a lot of small businesses that have a lot of family dynamics, and they have to work, and if things aren't right at home, they're not right in the business, and sometimes vice versa. This idea of mediation, this idea of conflict, getting people to the table, man, it's the toughest thing.
As long as you're talking and you're in communication, things tend to work out. It's when there's no communication that therein lies some problems, right? So talk it through, talk it out, get some counseling, mediation, get a coach, you know, talk to people.
What is it about that sort of stigmatism that we get where nobody really wants to go and get this? No one wants to sort of admit there's a sickness or something going on. Yeah,
exactly. I think it's the field of mental health.
True.
And I think it goes back to that. Everybody thinks that there's this big stigma about admitting that you have a problem. And who in the world doesn't have a problem?
Yeah, I had a problem today.
You did, and it was a big one.
Exactly.
But you talked it out and you got it fixed.
Talked it out and you got it
Well,
fixed.
that's true. I called in the reason. I called David and I said, David, I'm stuck. What do we need to do here? And we made I think it's going to turn out to be a really fantastic show because something went off the rails. But you know, actually, I do that quite a bit. I do call people for help a lot.
There's no stigma to that. There should not be a stigma to that.
And people find, especially men, hate to say it, guys, but, you know, that there's a weakness, right? Oh, you know, we don't even stop and ask for directions if we're lost in the country, you know. What, me stop? Come on, you know. But you gotta stop and talk.
Let's talk about the general feeling right now, what's going on in the community. And by the way, joining us later on will be Sue Kinney, who is who actually has led people. It's called the Camino Walk. Camino. You may not have met her, but she's an awesome person. And she's going to be in Northern Ontario doing a lot, walking Lake Superior, just like the Group of Seven did, and taking some people on that kind of a walk to find centering and balance. And maybe let's just sort of talk a little bit about that. Because clinically, there's evidence to this, and also metaphysically, there's evidence to this about how to find your center. And in a time like this, I mean, you and I think we should all talk about this. It seems a little wonky. Let's talk about what we're feeling in the community first, then talk about going to find our center. Dave, maybe over to you. You've often said that things look a little weird right now.
Things are looking a little weird. There's some change afoot, right, Garth? And in the business world and the market, the economy, what we were counting on maybe isn't sort of working the way we'd like to. And my thinking is there is change afoot, and you know, we've got to kind of roll with it. We have to be creative. It's a time now for communities to come together more closely and build and grow, and it's time for, you know, discovery and uncovery and taking it to a new level. It's a time for inspiration. It's a time where let's go.
Yeah, but that's a cool idea to talk about. But if you've just been laid off, or you're worried about that, your business isn't where it needs to be, or something's going on, like we had an announcement in our family today that some changes are going to happen.
Well, yeah, and that's it. I mean, the idea of taking some time and being peaceful and all that, it's to some people in crisis, that's just the last thing they need to hear. And part of this SEB program that I'm in right now, one of the things that has stuck with me a lot is the need to get a regular schedule in place for you, even if you're not going to work, even if you have nothing else to do. Just set yourself a schedule each day and say, I'm going to get up at 7:30 and get up, out of bed, be active. And program a time. You're going to be at the computer for an hour. Don't go crazy, but build in time for yourself, build in time for your family, and don't say that you have to ask permission.
Now this is interesting because part of the program is that, and you were you coach in the SEB program as well, which Nancy's talking about. This is maybe explain what that program is, because some people are going to be laid off right now. Some people are going to be facing that, and it's probably coming at sometimes maybe a welcome time, because they didn't like the job anyways. But and they were ready to make a change, but they couldn't make the change, and now all of a sudden they're going, well, here's an opportunity. But you belong to this SEB program. You coach in it.
Yeah, we're there for people who are going through job loss, and we're an alternative to going back to a job. It's an opportunity for them to get retrained and start their own business. So they get 2 months of business training, they get coaching and income support, and it's all done through the Ontario government. There's a lot of programs that are just, that are helping people do this kind of work. A lot for youth. There's a few programs for youth, and then this is more geared towards adults.
So what happens is, in this case, Nancy, you were already a professional in what you were doing, and you took advantage of this SEB program. Why did you do that? What caused you to take that shot? Because that's a change.
Because I'd always been in the employment market, and due to downsizing and changeover in staffing, I was back at the bottom where everybody else was, especially all these GM workers and things. And I really felt lost, didn't know where to go. So I had to assess what my gifts were and what my training has been in. And I've always I've done volunteer mediation and workplace mediation, but I wanted to make it a full-time commitment. And it's quite a challenge. Even the idea of setting myself up into business is quite a challenge. It's very daunting.
What do you mean by that, though? Like for you, have you ever done anything entrepreneurial before, like to this degree?
Not to this degree.
Right. So now here you are. It's a scary time. Not uncommon. David sees a lot of people coming in this way, but here, and in fact, David did this himself a number of years ago when he started his radio show. But now you're there. You had to beat back some gremlins. You had to beat up on some. I had to beat back
a lot of gremlins, and I still do every day. Every time we had our cold calling session today with David, and he's, one of the things is fear, and every single one of us had it. He says, how many of you like to cold call? And there was not a hand raised. So we've all got the fear, we've all got the demons. It's basically, you have to get up and talk to yourself and say, I can do it, and just go forward.
And so this is really kind of interesting, because here you are, skilled, I would say, as a mediator, and being able to do that. But now you have to hang your own shingle.
That's right.
And there's a lot of people watching today that are thinking, I couldn't hang my own shingle. Maybe we could talk a little bit about that journey from uh-oh to I better do something to, or I'm not going to do anything, and get in the fetal position and sort of sit on the couch.
Well, that's not good.
But people do that.
I know they do.
It's a process, isn't it?
It is a process. I think you've got to allow then for that to happen. If it's past like 30 days, get some help.
So someone's past 30 days and you've done nothing proactive, you've just been wallowing in your own crap.
Yeah, and then you got to start to get moving. And I'm a big believer of take action, and every day take positive action. If you do like 5 things a day, make some calls for an hour, make some appointments, start talking it up with some people call your colleagues, brainstorm, get ideas, get a mastermind team going.
Yeah, get some people together that actually have some accomplishments that can take you to somewhere versus sometimes the people you're commiserating with.
Exactly.
The co-misery company.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to break. We're going to come back and talk about this. But tonight,